Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey, Spence, let's trip out.
All right. We are back in the Geek Den. We're not talking wrestling this time. So, all right. We got Johnny Necro. We got Frozen Dead, Horrordorables, a bunch of other stuff you got going on. What's going on, my man? Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate all of you. I'm very glad I got to meet you guys. Thanks again for that awesome review. I appreciate it. We are Horror Records appreciates it.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Yep.
Absolutely. It's great to be working with those guys.
We Are Horror Records thing, actually, even that hookup has been pretty entertaining for us. I mean, it's great to get any type of press release from anybody. If somebody wants you to hear their music and see what you have to say about it. It's a wonderful deal.
Yeah.
Dan spoke very highly of you guys because when he first sent me the link of you guys and I read the review, I was like, is that you? He goes, no. These guys do stuff for all of our music. They're so cool. I was like, oh, wow. It floored me. I was like, oh, it's not you doing it? Cool. It's like someone's mom saying, oh, such a good band. But
well, it's like we had, for us in particular, it's like most of us are working full time or working out of the house, or for that matter, stay-at-home parents in some of our cases. Like legitimately, there is no time to get out and listen to new music, hear new music. So it's great to have a partnership that allows us to do so.
Yeah.
It is a wonderful thing. I mean, and so far it's been, I'd argue, mutually beneficial. It's given us something to do in our free time. That's for damn sure.
I think it's exciting. So
It gives you something to listen to at work.
yeah.
Talk about
on my side, it's good to be heard.
awesome.
Right.
Always that.
I just got a shoulder full of dog butt.
Hey, that's okay. My mom's dog peed on my arm today.
No,
He got so excited. He was like, oh, it's Johnny. Hi.
Forever. Tell the kiddies I said
Funny.
hi.
I have a severe anxiety anger issue, but it didn't bother me at all. I got pissed on without getting pissed off.
It's pretty funny how that works out.
That's how you know you're adulting properly.
Yeah.
I would get pissed off about it though. Because like, no,
I
I'm
normally
not
would, but you know, it's been a really weird fucking month.
Now,
I
if
get
it
that.
was
I
an
get that.
adult, I might be pissed. You know, like not an adult dog, an adult human, of course. I would be like, okay, what the fuck? Come on, that's not
Aren't
adult.
they extending circumstances?
No.
Like Circle Jerk's golden shower of hits? I mean, come on, Debbie Gibson must like it.
That was, what was it? Teenage Electric?
That.
Is that what it was? Yeah. So I guess a good place to start would really be that you were originally there was a band, you guys were getting noticed, you were getting picked up, you were playing quite a lot actually, and that would be the Frozen Dead. Yeah.
Actually, it was after Frozen Dead, but a core member of Frozen Dead.
So it's let's say the remnants of then.
Yes.
Okay.
The dead
Right.
of Frozen Dead.
And this would give people a time frame. Run from there.
We got to go back, and this is going to be two origins at once. This is going to be the comic, and it's going to be the music that was Frozen Dead, but became, and I'm going to say the name, the Asylum. Asylum was very popular in Cleveland in the mid 2000s. We were playing with everybody at Peabody's all over the place, fantasy nightclub. But it started in Austin, Texas. I don't talk a lot about my time in the Army, but I was in the Army and I got stationed in Texas. And I moved to Austin after a year living in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, during when they had all these refugees like using fucking outhouses, rowboats and shit. So I was in Austin. And I was submerging myself into the punk and goth scene because I was always on the fence. I was like a rivet head because I love Skinny Puppy and like Ministry. And I was the goth punk who liked the Cramps and like the Misfits and Sam Hain. But I was also this rockabilly kid who loved Social Distortion and shit. So I was like all over the place. And living down in Austin, I did my first band, Killing Innocents. I had a CD come out called Silence is Stupid. It was pretty good. It was actually street punk before there was street punk. It's really raw, raunchy. I think eventually we're putting it up on Bandcamp, but that's later on. But while I was at this coffee shop, I met this guy, Rich, from Wisconsin. And I was originally coming from here in Pennsylvania back and forth to Detroit. We became really good friends. He was like, hey, you know, let's do music. I said, well, here's some stuff I just recorded. You know, it's industrial. He goes, yeah, that's cool, but I like your CD punk rock better. All right. So I was like, well, we're going to do a band. Now, here's a little piece of history right here.
Okay.
We had each other. He had a friend that was a guitarist. We didn't have a drummer. See this picture here, okay?
Yep.
That was a flyer for a drummer. Now, if you look close, the drummer's face, and behind the big guy in the front, which is Rich, there's me with the little split devil's lock.
Yeah.
That's how I combined and created Johnny Necro.
Awesome.
Which, that one right there.
Yeah.
First ever Johnny Necro, which was created to be a band logo for Frozen Dead.
What am I looking at? Sharpie on copy paper? What am I looking at there?
Oh, let's see. These are like originals.
Give me some medium here. I'm just curious about the medium.
No, it's a photocopy of Sharpie.
Right. Perfect. That's what I was wondering.
So that's what I've kept as the Frozen Dead logo all these years.
Hey, it works. It's graphic and it's immediately identifiable.
But we were doing that flyer for a drummer. We got one. And after like 2 practices, it fell apart. They wanted to become another band called the Floaters. But before that, this guy kept bothering me at the coffee shop. Real jock looking dude. I was very anti-establishment at the time, very cocky. I was like, fuck you, man. He's like, what are you drawing? I was drawing a comic character I created called Necrophiliac. To be like the most obscene fucking superhero ever. And he doesn't even get the fuck the dead. He's like a complete loser, pre-Deadpool, okay? He wears a white outfit with a shitty grin because he gets perma high while he's making love to his fiance on this drug called Sextreme. And when he finishes, he realizes she overdosed. So he becomes necrophiliac. You laugh, but I had James O'Barr ready to let me do a crow story where my character thought he was the crow and painted his fucking.
That would have been actually pretty fucking clever.
But I didn't get a hold of kitchen sink, so it didn't happen. But
well,
anyway,
I'm pretty sure by the time that would have happened too, you would have had to have fought with fucking production companies involved.
Right. So back to the guy bothering me because it's Frozen Dead related, both at once. He's like, "What are you drawing?" I said, "I'm drawing a comic book." He goes, "Well, I work for the Daily Texan, the largest college newspaper in the country, University of Texas newspaper." Okay. He goes, "You want to draw a comic?" I go, "I'm not in your fucking school, man. I live in a goddamn heart." He's like, "Well, how many comic books you got out?" None. Well, I publish every fucking day of the week. Why don't you try? So I said, you know what? I'm going to do the most balls of the wall, underground, pirate comic I can fucking do. If I want Wolverine in it, I'm going to draw fucking Wolverine in it. I grew up on Cracked and Mad. If I want to have Pikachu in it getting fucked, it's going to happen. I'm going to make it big. I put him in there. Not one got turned down. My first comic had 50,000 readers a day while I was fucking.
That's awesome.
So a few more years, I moved to New York City. After New York City, I ended up in Cleveland. Rich moved up to Cleveland, and we were going to start Frozen Dead over, which I was already doing a horror industrial band called 913, playing shows. I had an EP out called The Deadly Singles, which I'm going to rewrite horror rock for Johnny Necro. So I'm saving those lyrics and redoing them because it sounds really
yeah.
cool. I have a love song about Return of the Living Dead 3 that'll make you cry.
It's awesome.
So he's like, yeah, we got to do this. Okay, fine. We're Frozen Dead, but I've written songs. By then, I'd recorded what you now know as Here Comes the Bride of Chucky, and Love from Beyond, which, if you don't know, is about the movie The Entity, or the book, where the ghost is raping the woman, and he's like,
Yeah.
I never read the book.
I wrote the love story about the fucking ghost point of view because, you know, everyone's lonely. It's so lonely being dead. That's one of the so, it's horror rock. It's not supposed to be fucking camp. Anyways, he's like, okay, we'll do this. So I had just bought an Epiphone SG knockoff. I'm like, I want to sing my songs. All he does was sing. He was big, Frankenstein-sized guy, tattoos of stitches on his wrists, just total front man, but built like a tank. I'm animated as shit. One of my heroes is Nikki Sixx, so I'm running all around the fucking place, going crazy. Finally, our bass player, after the first show, gets high on cocaine, steals the till, starts a fight, and gets his ass kicked. Immediately, we needed a bass player. So guess what fucking happened? We had two guitarists. I got stuck on bass. After that, I was no longer singing my two songs. And it slowly pushed as more members came for necessity because we had shows booked at that time. We had Exploited, The Addicts, Murder Junkies. We had the first U.S. tour of UK subs in 10 years.
Wow.
We had Misfits. We had two shows during Cleveland Music Fest. One opening for the Misfits and then headlining the same club downstairs for ourselves. So, that was great. I jumped off this. It used to be a seafood restaurant. I jumped off this pirate ship. I just bought a wireless bass. I run across the stage. I slide and break my wireless bass right into the fucking stage. Get plugged in. Don't even miss a beat. Start playing fucking crew riffs on my bass. But eventually, the limelight sharing was too much, I think. And I did love Rich to death, but I got anxiety over the guy because I don't like that kind of confrontation when it's something I love being like slowly pushed into the corner. And then the worst part is one of our roadies became our new guitarist, and he had another band, and he was starting to be allowed to sing his set. So I was getting miserable. I didn't care if I lived or died. One day I fucking left for work and I never came back. I walked away with fucking nothing and started over. And that's when I quit music. That's when I quit Asylum. And we had just gotten a business card from Roadrunner Records, which I still have in that portfolio. You know, we were supposed to open for David Allen Coe of all fucking people.
Wow.
You know, because we're such a diverse sound. Like,
Yeah.
Year-wise, what are we looking at now?
Year-wise now?
Well, no, like
year-wise.
Yeah, you walk away, you decide that you're done.
Oh, what was done?
What's the time frame?
What I did, I started my whole life over.
Right.
I started just working for a living, got one shitty job after another. I tried to reconnect with my father, who was dead.
90s or 2000s?
It's still 2000s. We went from 90s to 2000s with Asylum. It was all mid 2000s. And then maybe 2005, I think, maybe 2005.
Okay.
It was like, enough's enough. We just opened for Human Marbles.
I'm painting a picture here, or at least mentally for myself.
That's okay. Sorry. Like I said, I go.
It's all good.
This was my life, but at the same time, I was blacked out so much that it's fucking hard. You know what I mean? Like, I still have a little bit of fun now, but not like I did back then.
Time blends. Like, these memories blend. They really do. You forget what the fuck they happen.
And I really tried hard to put a mental block because it was so painful to have something I love so much. Just I felt like it was ripped from me, and I lost my best friend over it. I talk to him now. For the last 2 years, I maybe talked to him 3 times because I just can't have long conversations with him because it hurts too much. Not his fault. He tries to be nicer, but that rip is still there. And even with this new project, I get worried. Like, when's he going to start bashing it? When he sees it on there, somehow he's going to see it. He knows who the fuck Johnny Necro is, or my stalker of 20 years. So I was like hiding in plain sight with the comic, but now I'm like out there again. So it's like, okay, here's the bad shit. It's about to hit. But anyways, I got off track again. So anyways, Asylum ended. I was working at a printing company, and that's when I met one of my saviors. He's like a brother to me now. His name's Robert Kazar. I'm throwing it out there. He's a photographer in Cleveland now. He was like, dude, man, you're me 10 years ago, but you can't quit music. You can't. You just can't. So he took me and bought an Esteban pack guitar and said, you're going to pay me for this, and then it's yours. One of the songs that I first wrote on it's going to be on the new album, Johnny Necro, Back from the Grave. All those fucking years ago, I still kept writing, but I didn't know what to do with it. I wasn't in a hurry to put it out.
Yeah.
So I've had time to refine these songs. So when Dan signed me, I not only had the whole Killing Innocence album, the EP from 913, I have all these new songs for at least an album and a half. And probably my biggest thing that I'm excited of is I'm going to pay licensing fees to cover my favorite Weird Al song.
Sweet.
Nature Trail to Hell in 3D. Nature Trail to Hell in 3D needs to be a fucking horror rock song.
Yeah.
Hard and dark.
Yeah.
I don't know why I was like secretly hoping it was going to be Dare to Be Stupid.
No, I love that.
I was seriously like the first thing you said I was going to pay to play my favorite Weird Al song. The first thing I was like, Dare to Be Stupid.
No, my wife and I, our close friend, just saw him for the first time last year.
I've never got a chance.
All originals.
I've always wanted to watch that guy. I've never.
Yeah, he did. He just did his originals last year.
Yeah, but at the
Like, you put
end,
his
he
hands
did
on.
like a blend of everything.
Right.
My wife
Like
got
he'll
really
do a
excited.
polka.
I mean, the fact is that dude's a hell of a songwriter.
He's one of my heroes,
His band's
man.
fucking incredible too. His
For
fucking
real.
backup band is fucking amazing.
Yeah, and they've been with him
Yeah.
since day one. Other than the drummer was day two.
Right,
Yeah.
which is like that's the whole thing. The fact that like literally the whole thing was like, hey, we're gonna play this song except our version. Also, I've transposed the keyboard to an accordion.
And in tribute, my one friend who's a Weird Al fan, I didn't want him to get nutted up and have to do a whole song, but I said, we're gonna write you an accordion solo in a fucking horror rock. You're doing it. He's like, yeah. I go, no one has to see you.
Waiting,
Even
man.
better.
Told you, Mom.
I just wish I knew somebody who played an accordion. Shit.
Well, my friend John Saunders is fucking awesome with it. You ever see him like your videos and all that? Get a hold of that guy. He's a great human being. One of the last of the pure true, and he is geek pride motherfucker. Scooby-Doo's his favorite everything. But he's like the best heart and biggest soul that I've met in years. And we kind of help each other out because he has a different anxiety than I have. I have like anger issues and PTSD and just fuck you, I'm punk rock. And I'm almost 48 years old, so bleh. I think I answered your question though, the Asylum Frozen Dead.
Time frame, and you definitely got the order of operations.
But it also led into this because of the songs that I started writing right afterwards.
Well, the thing is like when, as mentioned with We Are Horror, we got the press release, so we got recordings that you did pre-hiatus that were later, I guess. I mean, if they're sort of released, I'm assuming that they were revisited and re-edited too, or not edited.
Yeah,
but,
he
Remastered.
tweaked them a little. It was hard because I don't have all the files for each instrument. But yeah,
So
he
that's-
definitely made them a little crisper.
right,
Yeah.
and we have new versions of them. But the fact is, they were written and recorded like
Right.
fucking 2 decades ago. Like it's a while
I
back.
still think they held the test of time because like
No,
that
they were
horror rockabilly thing got
No, they
petered
were
out.
entertaining.
Yeah.
That's the question though. Is you have a back catalog of music essentially that you've had for this period of
Right.
time that you can now work and run with.
Yeah.
How much are you going to rework any of it? You're going to go as is, like
Yeah. Well, one of the things Dan asked, and this is cool, so you're going to be the first to hear one of these announcements. He asked if I would redo Here Comes the Bride of Chucky and do a duet with the female singer from Tomb of Nick Cage.
All right.
Oh,
So
very cool.
nice.
Oh, that's clever.
that
dude.
is
That's clever. That's clever.
yeah.
Okay.
And I'm adding an extra part, so it's like sung from the Tiffany side.
Yeah.
I don't want her to just sing background because she's a front woman. I was like, man, that's kind of insulting, but that's a lot of work to fucking redo my song. How am I going to do this different?
Fair.
But he loves that song. That's what got me signed. The
Right.
story is, and I feel bad because recently he's posted like, send me an email. And I'm like, oh, shit. I hope he's not talking about me because I kind of cold called him online with a message. I said, hey, do you sign American X? He's like, yeah, most of my guys are American. He goes, send me an email. I go, I got a music video right here from YouTube. And I threw it to him. He's like, I listened to 30 seconds. I love this. this is scratching an itch I've had for a long time. And then halfway through the conversation, he goes, I listened to it 6 times. I'm like, you know, and now that they have the Chucky TV show, it's even better because he's in the limelight again.
Oh yeah, capitalize.
So-
Definitely capitalize.
And I told him, I go,
Fucking
trying to get a hold of Sci-Fi Network. Give him the song.
Have you
Yeah,
watched? by the way,
seriously.
as a random side product that had. Has anybody here watched the series? Because holy shit,
I loved it.
Mm.
I love it.
I'm gonna say something.
I'm the odd
that's
man out.
controversial. I don't mean this controversial. I mean this completely honest. It's with all this new upsurges of media and commercials trying to sell to trans and everybody else. At least they had a reason because Glenn or Glenda was already that way 20
Oh, it
fucking
was already
years
it
ago.
was already part of the
So
story.
that was
Yeah.
beautiful. It wasn't just selling out off the newest fucking thing with media trend. The lifestyle's not a trend. The
Well,
media
add to
shit
the
is.
fact that it's also Don Coruscally is still the guy behind,
Yeah.
it, right? So that's
Right.
it's his thing.
And you can
You
feel
know,
the
and you have
vibe.
Brad Dourif doing the fucking voice again. You have, you know,
With the
Jennifer
show, everybody coming in from the original just
Right.
makes
Yeah,
it
they got the original Andy for fuck's sake.
His daughter
every
playing
yeah,
young,
it just
young
what's
Charles
her name?
Ray.
Something Dorf. Jesus, what is
oh,
her name?
I got
Hell
goosebumps
yeah.
just talking about it.
And she
Woo.
was great in her movies. You know,
Stephen Dorff, or not Stephen Dorff.
Brad Dorf, you mean?
Yeah,
Dorff's
Brad
fucking
Dourif.
daughter
Yeah.
is
now we're going back to the gate.
right. Yeah. Well, that's what I was actually thinking, which is that's where it went wrong. But Brad Dourif's daughter is. She
Yes.
kept Dorff as a last name. That's her working name. I just can't
Oh, yeah.
remember.
Yeah. Yep.
Fiona.
No, the first time I noticed it was her, I was
Yeah,
actually watching the Purge television show, and I was like, "Wait a minute, is that actually his daughter?" And I was like, "Holy crap!" That just
Yeah,
made
and
it
she
even
does a
more
great job
exciting.
too. She does a wonderful job in that fucking role.
She
Oddly
absolutely
enough, she doesn't
does.
look as frightening as I would expect either, because Brad Dourif's a scary looking dude.
Yeah.
Right?
Beautiful
Right?
to see the
Really
family
is.
legacy continue. You know, you don't see that very often. There's
No,
young
you
Robert
don't.
Englund
It's
son
like-
going out and doing stuff.
This is one of the sidetracks I was talking about earlier. That
It's irrelevant. It's
it is
related to the
relevant.
song.
It directly applies. It does directly apply.
It was not a tangent.
Yeah,
Nope.
somebody should actually get in touch with sci-fi.
I
Like,
think
I
it
would-
should. I mean, seriously, I don't care if they pay me, just use it.
Right. Oh, they'll
Who cares
pay
if
you.
it's 3
Better.
movies back.
They would pay you.
Well-
They would have to pay. There's a
Yeah.
set low rate they would have to pay to use it.
The
I
first
believe you
time
have
I
to-
ever got
Yeah.
into horror rock at all, you know, we already talked about who all that was, but it was a Chucky song. As soon as I heard it, I was like, "Oh my God, is that a song about Chucky?" And then I was immediately in love. I was like, "Nope." And then
I
I
gotta
listened to
ask.
them for like fucking 6 months straight. I wouldn't listen to anything else.
Did you notice that in my song I use exact taglines as well as some of the quotes from the movies?
Yeah.
It's not
Doesn't,
plagiarism if you rework it.
True.
Yes.
I
Our
rhyme that
buddy-
shit. It's new.
That's Corey's excuse. Our buddy Corey does horror raps.
Dude, how are you going to argue with it? It's, I mean, technically speaking, I mean, for that matter, you could always run that it's satire and suddenly you're protected.
Yeah, it's parody, not satire. Parody's protected.
Parody,
satire.
that's right. Parody
I
is
learned
Yeah.
that because of Frozen Dead, because the House of Mouse hates me. I think the rabbit hates me too at this point.
Oh, the house of mouse.
You want to know the biggest reason?
also
I think
referred to as the
I
evil
think-
empire.
the House of Mouse hates me because my character Bret Hart, who's Johnny Necro's heart that he cut out, has
Oh,
a kid
yeah.
with Minnie Mouse.
And well, you know, we're
Love
there's
that.
not enough time to tell a brief story, so I'm gonna hold off until we get back. But it is something that if you should definitely know. It was about was it not Arthur Clarke? Not Bradbury. There was another. Why am I forgetting his name? This happens when I drink.
This happens every
Christ,
episode.
It's pissing me off because he's a fucking sci-fi well known and loved. He worked for Disney. He did for exactly 24 hours.
Mhm.
And he got fired because he made a joke at lunch. Actually, not that long of a story. Dude shows up, sits down. He has his own name on a fucking plexiglass, like on the plate glass on a door. Sits down. They've hired him to start writing. He's a well-known sci-fi author. As he's sitting there trying to figure out what the fuck he's supposed to be doing, he sits there all day. He sharpens pencils because he has his own little pencil sharpener. He fucking randomly types the same letter over and over again because it's like literally he has a typewriter that he could not afford on his own. You know what I'm saying? All right, so noon rolls up. He hasn't done a fucking thing because no one has stopped by to tell him what he's supposed to be doing. Some of the animators and a couple of the writers, that like the head animators, or I guess heads of the department, and a couple of other writers are like, "Hey man, we're going to go hit lunch. You want to go with us?" Of course. So they go out to lunch. They have a couple of drinks. Halfway through, he's not really talking much, and he decides to break the ice by making a joke about Minnie fucking Mickey. That's all it was. Joke about Minnie fucking Mickey. He gets back. His name is not on the door. All of his sharpened pencils have been thrown away, and his fucking typewriter is gone. Said anything to him. He just walked back into his office, stood there for a second, and for the first time that day, somebody stopped in to tell him what he was supposed to be doing, and that was fucking leaving. As he leaves, in his memoir that he wrote this in, he was like, the one thing that I conclusively learned is you could do a lot of things in this world, but the one thing you cannot do is fuck with the mouse.
That's exactly why I did.
As you should.
Frozen Dead.
And also, we are 20 seconds from.
20 seconds from. All right. So why don't we go ahead and cut to a break? We can refill our drinks, and we'll come back and get into some more good shit.
Imagine this!
Deep in the jungle, you discover it, the Cobra Terradrome with gun emplacements almost everywhere and special base for refueling vehicles.
There it is!
The Cobra Terradrome is really incredible.
That's Dr. Mindbender! And now, look! They've captured Flynn!
It's time to warn the Joes, but suddenly they launch the Firebat. Live the adventure of G.I. Joe. Cobra Terradrome comes with Firebat and Pilot. Other figures and equipment sold separately.
Joe! There's something strange in the neighborhood.
So who are you gonna call? Ghostbusters! Each sold separately.
Have no fear. Venkman, Stamps, and Spangler are here. So are these ghosts. They've got ectoplasm. We've been goofed. Now what? Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. Let's show this pile of dessert who's boss. Activate Neutrona Blaster. We ain't afraid of no ghosts.
Peter Venkman, Ectoplasm, Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, and other figures each sold separately. Ghostbusters, new from Kenner.
All right. So, why don't we just get into it? You told us before we started recording here. Well, where we left off was the music went on hiatus and we started getting back into the comics. So why don't you just Frozen Dead comics? How did that start back up into?
It started back up because I had moved back to the small town of Towanda, Pennsylvania, an hour out of Scranton with my wife.
Very familiar with it.
Left Detroit. Yep. And by the way, we're 2 hours away from another one of the bands on the label, the Dead Toads.
Yeah,
they're an hour on the other side.
Oh, we're very familiar.
Yeah, I'm in the Lehigh Valley, so I'm
okay,
like,
all right. So
yeah.
we're gonna have to get together one of these days. So anyway, they gave me a scanner, which was all that was holding me back. There was a little comic shop here called Fat Man Comics. It no longer exists. They asked if I wanted to be a guest. So I got to sit for the first time in years, and I have a chip on my shoulder about most conventions. I won't get into right now, but they treated me like a guest, so that was awesome. I also got to meet, I don't know if you know the name or not, probably not, but you'll know what he's done, Rusty Gilligan. Rusty Gilligan does the comic series Mac in Trouble. He was one of the little orphans in Pete's Dragon.
Okay.
House on the Prairie, he was a wrestler.
Yep.
So, and he's also an ordained minister at Comic Cons. He goes and he gets people married. Anyways, he was there.
Awesome.
And one of the people that ran the shop was like, "Why aren't you doing your comic Frozen Dead?" I was showing him some of my stuff and doing some sketch covers. He's like, "You got to do this again." I go, "I'm not tech savvy. I can't afford what I need to do." He goes, "Well, here, we have a scanner we don't use. Take it."
Right.
In 2015, I came back with a vengeance. My first strip was all outdated humor, making fun of myself as well. And I had Johnny Necro with a TV with a ghost of Foghorn Leghorn coming out. The title said Poultrygeist. Before I knew there was horror. And Johnny's eating a chicken leg and he goes, "We're black." So that was the first Frozen Dead. And there was where the static was for Carol Ann, there was an arrow and it said outdated technology. Now, the next day I was working at a factory and I wrote the word "this" on my pants for some reason. And it became a joke for the next comic because it was another comeback comic. I had Johnny standing there and the word "this" is just hanging there. And this is before Deadpool was a household name. I did self-aware shit way back when.
Yeah.
You know, I grew up reading the 90s She-Hulk run and stuff like that. The Breaking the Fourth Wall is hilarious. Or Boom County, all that shit. So he looks up and he sees the word this. He's like, what? What does this mean? What is this even here for? That's his voice, by the way. He sounds like Bugs Bunny meets Johnny Depp's Ed Wood.
You do that when you draw. You do that when you draw, like voice it out in your head while you go.
Oh, and I got Brett's voice too. So
yeah.
oh, I get it. 15 years of doing this comic, and this is the best he could come up with. Yeah, my characters aren't very nice to me. They're self-aware. Brett tried to take a pencil and shove it up my dick hole once, so because I gave him a tattoo. He wanted it to say "Hug for life," but it said "Hug for life."
I do not do it the easy way.
Characters are so mean to me. Johnny's a little bit nicer. Brett's an asshole. You read any of the Brett comics yet? You'll know he's a fan favorite. It's not even his comic, but for the last 3 years, people think it is. What's good? I'm getting you laughing without even looking at it.
Oh man!
You don't need a visual media when you're an entertainer. Oh, speaking of Brett, because I've never got to do this before, I got to get animation going. I got to find some people that can help me with that because I love a lot of cartoons. Don't get me wrong. I love Rick and Morty. I love a lot of the new wave of stuff. I love Archer. I love Bob's Burgers. But there's so much fucking garbage animation out there. It just doesn't look like they took time to grab it. You know, I want a Don Bluth animated type cartoon with adult humor. So I always wanted to have Brett do a letters page for a first cartoon. He was going to grab the paper and read. Dear dead guys, I got a question for you. If Bret Hart is supposed to be Johnny Necro's ripped out, still beating hot, how the hell did he bang up Minnie Mouse and have a kid with her? I've got a perfectly good answer for that. Because I'm a cartoon, you fucking moron.
Ralph Bosch would have appreciated that humor.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, literally, that would have run straight up the fucking Boschi. I mean, look at Cool World, and that was an attempt at making a mainstream version of a Ralph Boschi movie, you know?
Right.
That would have fit in there. That actual joke as well as the fucking voice would have fit in.
Well, there's so many subtle things you can't do with this medium. Like the eye looks to the left and you hear the violin string go. Right? You can't do that in a fucking comic, especially with character with one eye. But
even you were talking about, well, animation has changed because a lot of it is done. Like you have a lot of animation is now done on a surface and or on like you're literally drawing on an Intuos pad where it has nothing to do with the computer. You are animating by frame, one frame laid over the next. So you can literally do a run back while you're animating if you want to, which is, I think you were right. So like if you look at something like Rick and Morty, obviously that the production values are much higher on a show like that. The animation looks better. It still isn't like Looney Tunes animation, but it is good animation. But at the same time, you look at something like Star versus the Forces of Evil. They're simple cartoons drawn over the top. It's the way the medium is going. You can now produce cartoons fast as shit. It takes less animators because the technology is advanced far enough to do it.
Then you have the blend of both, like Pickle and Peanut. It's an awesome cartoon, but they blend both styles, like shitty 1 minute, really in depth, and fucking cool the other.
Well, look at so Samurai Jack, right? Everybody remembers Samurai Jack, right?
Mm-hmm.
Great fucking cartoon, was it not? Like if you watch, especially if you watch the entire arc, like it's got a hell of a story to it. Phil Lamar doing the voice, like it's an amazing cartoon. But just like the Powerpuff Girls and a lot of the other animation at the time, the art became simple. And it became simple because it was easier to animate. Once again, you had less people to do it, right? I'm not really sure where I'm going with this. I'm just pointing out the difference between, like, when I think cartoon, I think hand animation layered over the, like, onion skin, dropped over to fucking illustrate your next frame, running 32 frames per second and seeing what you can put together. Or like 20 frames. But point of the matter is, animation now, I'm not even sure that making a cartoon now is worth it. That's personal opinion, by the way, is where I'm coming from on this one. It's just me, and it's maybe because of what I grew up watching. I think that's probably has a lot to do with it. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like to fucking Transformers, which was all recycled Japanimation stuff, right?
I did like
same-
Prime though. Prime was a pretty good reboot. I liked their direction and the art style. It had Jeffrey Combs as Ratchet. I mean, it had Ernie Hudson. You know,
Well, it's also the Transformers are a big draw, though. That's a huge name. Who wouldn't want to be involved with anything involving that? But like, let's take something like the Bionic 6. If they were to try to reboot the Bionic 6 right now, the animation would be crap. Storyline wouldn't draw anybody, and you might get one season out of it. And it'd be off the side.
Yeah.
It used like a lot of cartoons used to be able to go a little bit further because the amount of effort, time, and money that went into making. Like they got to take it. Like I mean, look at GI Joe. To be honest with you, GI Joe was it was a toy series that had an idea with Marvel Comics to create.
They all were.
Well, absolutely, especially with what we grew up with, right? So I mean, you're looking at something like GI Joe, or for that matter, He-Man, which was very clearly designed to sell toys. That's what it was about. And let's face it, when Hanna-Barbera, the animation sucked with He-Man. Even the old He-Man, if you watch it, it's fucking terrible. Except for the important frames, the I have the power and Cringer turning into fucking Battle Cat and shit.
And they just reused them.
Like that shit was fucking great. But even with like G.I. Joe, the amount of money, time, and effort that went into making a G.I. Joe cartoon necessitated a second season. Like you had to do it in order to make your money back. It doesn't happen anymore. Now you can do whatever you want and fucking toss it after 12 episodes.
Yep.
That was again going way off track. I think I'm just bitching about being old.
You know what? We can't really bitch because we rule the world now. That's why everything we had is back because it was fucking awesome.
Well, yeah, that's the style. That's the reason. I mean, fucking that '90s show.
Yeah.
Right
I
now,
love that show.
I absolutely love it. Yeah.
People were apparently a big fan of that '70s show. Like so,
but they didn't like the original that '90s show, or it was that '80s show.
The 80s show,
Yeah, that show was terrible.
wasn't that great though. It
No,
really
it wasn't.
wasn't.
Here's
They
the thing.
didn't try. They were just milking.
Here's
Well,
where
they were
here's
even-
where that '90s show did it right. Red and Kitty.
Well,
Right.
exactly. It wasn't just that. There was also that '80s show popped up at the fucking end of the '90s. It was too fucking early.
Right.
Yeah.
If they kicked it off in 2010.
Yeah, nobody cared about the 80s yet.
Yep, and bringing back the original cast definitely helped with that as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I loved what they did with it. It was really great. It was like the perfect reboot because it was a perfect time to do it because they were the actual age that the characters would have been.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes.
So,
I didn't watch it.
worked
My
out.
wife loved Fuller House because it did the same thing.
Fuller House, I quit watching after the first season. I was like, okay.
I didn't watch
that's
Full
fine.
House that much, so I couldn't get into it. But
I watched Full House all the time when I was a kid, but then
Yep.
as an adult, it's just like, okay, no.
I couldn't
I
get
actually
into the
read a
second
thing
one.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Derek.
I said I just couldn't get into the remake of the Fuller. I couldn't get into Fuller House, but I watched the shit out of Full House. I
Well,
mean, like faithfully.
I read a whole book about this. The idea was like you watch the shit out of Full House because it used to be sandwiched between other shows on a night where you were home waiting to watch a block. Now
Yeah.
we have streaming and we have the ability to marathon. There's a
Yeah.
thing about the fact that a lot of the shows that we fucking love right now, because you can marathon them, would not work in that format. If you were watching it once a week on a network, those shows would not survive.
Yeah.
People wouldn't
Well,
come back.
and you know, if you pay attention, everything's recycled. It's all the same. Everything does the same thing. There's a drug episode. There's this. You know what I mean? Like
It's a very special.
pedophile episode from Different Strokes.
Yeah.
Oh, good God.
Oh my God.
That was such a bad fucking episode.
Right.
you know, you start getting used to it where it's like, okay, this is that episode. Okay, everybody's doing that tonight.
I
What
just
did you have? The
I
fucking
guess
Saved
so.
by the Bell fucking caffeine pill episode?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, good stuff right there.
yes. Oh,
I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I'm so scared. Showgirls.
yes.
Oh my God.
Oh.
Right.
I just think it's funny that was where they thought that was at. Like girls were doing way worse shit.
Well, no, it's
There's no one dying out of it, but you know,
Saved by the Bell, though, that was like it was a Saturday morning fucking
yes,
not prime time thing. It later got moved to like a 6 o'clock slot.
Yeah.
yeah,
Essentially, it was a Saturday morning show, so they had to run with something that could not be called cocaine.
yes.
It was
Yes.
caffeine pills. It couldn't be
I
meth.
know. I know.
Speaking of cocaine, am I the only one excited for Cocaine Bear taking a true story.
Okay.
Super stoked
I'm
about
actually
that.
super excited for Cocaine Bear. Yeah.
The fact that they keep throwing the tagline in based on a true story. Fuck yes.
I explained it to my mom today. I says, "Oh, here's this thing. I am so excited because there's this true story where this ex-cop was smuggling drugs and he took too much when he got out of the plane and he fell and he died. And his poor bear got the cocaine and died. So they just said, we're gonna take that, but we're gonna make him fucking kill everybody first."
I love it.
Dude,
I
just
love
the
it.
one scene in the preview with the ambulance driving away and the bear fucking charges like, thank God, he's catching up.
It's so sad. In real life, they found his corpse and they put a fucking hat on it and put it on this goddamn store. It's like Smokey the Bear, dead fucking broke.
Smokey the Bear.
Only prevent drug abuse. Don't fucking cry in a forest when you're smuggling drugs.
That's Cokie the Bear.
But you know what? God bless Ray Liotta for having one last fucking.
Oh, fucking Ray Liotta. Oh, this is his last movie, isn't it? This is the last one.
Yeah.
It was one of them, yeah.
That sucks.
That he was in the Sopranos movie.
Yep. That's
But
right.
Why is every Ray Liotta movie that has cocaine in it awesome?
Seriously.
Far
Blow.
back as I can remember, me and the good
Blow.
brother stuck together. Now where are we?
Sorry that happened again.
Way the hell over here.
That was weird. I started talking about animation because I have grievances. This wasn't you. This was me. Sorry.
Back to cocaine. From cartoons to cocaine.
Cartoon cocaine base. Yeah, right.
I think what we're trying to say here is don't do drugs, kids, unless you can afford them.
Don't do drugs.
You have the ability and willpower to quit, so years later you can do music and not fucking die.
It's not that. Remember the rule: if you like it a lot, you don't do it again, or bare minimum, you don't pay for it.
That's right. And if you don't pay for it, don't do it a lot.
Offer it. You don't want to be rude.
Speaking of real life experience that ended up in Frozen Dead.
Yes.
I did this one episode when I was bringing it back called This One Time on Acid. So, like you're Johnny Necro in real life experiences. It says, this one time on acid, I painted my face like the Crow and hung upside down on a chain playing guitar for 5 hours. This other time on acid, I thought I was Hunter S. Thompson and spoke like him. Yet another time on acid, I found a Teletubbies marathon on PBS and watched it trying to see what the merit of the show was. After that, I vowed to never do a drug that makes Teletubbies appealing ever again. They know to go. I'm sticking the fucking rum.
The more you know episode, that's what that was.
That's right.
That was that was a very special episode.
I even have the drug PSA in one. There's this is this little random one where it's called Frozen Duck instead of Frozen Dead. And it says, this is a house that Jack built. This is a classic theme. And it showed like a Tom and Jerry ripoff. And it's like, and this right here is your brain. This is your brain on drugs. Any questions? And he goes, yeah, why the fuck was I played by a duck?
That's actually a full-on wraparound. That's a satisfying ending right there, is what that is.
I'm telling you, man.
Oh, we got our time limit?
You guys like the fucking music. You
Oh, no, we got a little bit. We got a little bit.
Oh, all right. But
I write the comic I looked for my whole life.
Oh,
That's the honest to God truth of why Frozen Dead is a little bit it's a little bit cracked, it's a little bit mad. No, it's got the tick, it's got milk and cheese.
Yeah.
Milk and cheese.
I actually sent Evan Dorkin a letter the other day trying to like use milk and cheese for a crossover. He hasn't got back to me yet, but I did send him an email. So look, I'm name dropping for the first time ever. I'm telling all these little secrets. I was always so guarded because I wasn't selling off on people. My first ever crossover, not parody, was Dr. Chud.
Oh, no shit.
Dr. Chud, I didn't meet him when I opened for the Misfits. He was already gone. But I started talking to him on Facebook and I said, hey, man, I need a doctor that specializes in zombies. A fucking guy got ripped this shit up and he needs to be put back together. He goes, sure, man. So I drew it. And if you go to his page, there's several pieces of my art. I got to pull something down. This is my most famous piece of art ever. If you ever see this online, it's me.
Oh, that's sick.
Awesome.
He has that on his profile.
That is sick.
I saw that on Google before. But anyways, I was like, yeah, that was me. So he did the crossover, and that was about the time I was putting out my first graphic novel after the first year being back, called Johnny Necro Hates You.
Mhm.
And he gave me a cover quote. He said, "Killer" on the back cover, the abominable Dr. Judd.
That's
That
awesome.
started me getting cover quotes from famous people. The second book, Nim Vind reached out. Nim Vind said, "Hey, can I be in your comic?" I said, "Sure." And he said, "Hey, you misspelled my lyrics. You said my lyrics wrong." He said, "Oh, sorry." It's hard to read, so I just did what I had to do. He goes, "Oh, wait, he's doing it on purpose as a joke. That's cool." I was like, "Yeah, man."
Yes. Yeah, it was on purpose. Yeah, sure.
Years ago,
I
met
knew what
Tom
I was
Sullivan
doing.
from Evil Dead. When I was still doing music, 913, I did this horror song called Dead by Dawn, which I'm redoing horror rock as Johnny Necro because it's good lyrics. I took this CD to him. I said, "Hey, I wrote a song about Evil Dead." Tom goes, "I never heard one before. That's awesome." Which they existed. He just never heard one. So years later on Facebook, I reconnected with him. I said, "Hey, you want to give me a cover quote for my book? I send you a couple books to read." He is another Detroit area person. So he's like, "Yeah, sure." He gave me the longest cover quote of anybody to date. It's like a big paragraph. And there was a picture of me holding the Necronomicon and him with the dagger at a con. He let me publish that in the back of the book too.
That's badass.
That was fucking cool.
Awesome.
I love Evil Dead. It's one of my biggest influence, not the biggest. Return of the Living Dead is what changed my life. The soundtrack and the fucking movie and the humor. That is why I do what I do. Return of the Living Dead.
That is why I am where I am. Like, I would know nothing.
One of the most recognizable horror movies that made you stop and think.
The puppet master who played Tarman recently saw my Horrordorables album and gave me a nice response. So that was
That's
cool.
awesome.
That's fucking bad.
And Melvin the Mop Boy saw my Toxic Avenger.
What was that, Jason?
You're 20 seconds out.
20 seconds. All right. Well, why don't we go ahead and cut to a quick break, and then we'll come back out and get that Marky Ramone story you mentioned earlier.
Okay, you got it. That's a good one. It involves Joan Jett.
Morning, kids. It's a Pac-Man day with my crispy corn cereal coming your
Delicious. I'm Inky.
I'm Blinky.
I'm Pinky.
I'm Clyde. We're the marshmallows
you'll find inside of Pac-Man. There goes a Pac-Pac. And Inky, too.
He's Marshmallow. You can chomp him too.
In Pac-Man.
Part of this nutritious breakfast.
It's Pac-Man with marshmallows. Delicious.
Listen up. McDonald's fries surprise is so easy to play, a rutabaga could figure it out. Buy a large or a medium fries or a hash brown, then peel off the sticker. You win every time. Like a Big Mac for 69 cents, $10,000, or fly anywhere in the world Delta Airlines goes. Ooh, if that's not terrific, I'm not a member of the Tuber family. So play McDonald's fries surprise today. It's the game with appeal. Appeal? I love potato humor.
All right. Let's hear that Marky Ramone story.
Okay. So during this time period, the Misfits were Des Condina, Jerry Only, and Marky Ramone. So we already knew each other to the point where I would have shots with Des Condina, and so with the rest of the band after shows. Jerry was pretty nice to us, but after we had a couple more shows and he saw what we were about, he was like, "Yeah, hi." So,
right.
So, but Marky's really laid back fucking dude, man.
Yeah, from what I've seen.
And he had the Marky Ramone band, and I knew this guy, CJ Gunn, at the time, who was playing with him. And we were going to do an opening act for him. What we didn't realize is up in the green room, Joan Jett was visiting.
Oh,
the first show in like 10 years as a guest, she was watching her friend Marky play up in the fucking balcony with her band. So they watched us play our fucking show.
Okay.
The end of the show comes. CJ goes, "Hey, Marky wants to know, you want to do Blitzkrieg Bop with us at the end?" Meanwhile, I was the bass player. I'm like, "Oh, fuck." I go, "Jealous time." "Yeah, can we have Rich come out?" Yeah, sure. So I'm trying to make peace and all that. Good. So the next time we do it, Joan Jett's still watching everything. We're doing our last song of the night. I'm running back and forth on the stage, and Rich is just standing there, and he's looking fucking pissed. He's fucking jealous, and it's not my fault. You're just standing there. So I'm running back and forth, being crazy. Finally, he stands up, he pulls his foot up, and he slams it down on my cord, and it rips the entire guts out of my bass on the last.
Oh shit!
I start smashing the fucking thing all over the place. It's shattering everywhere. There's this little 10-year-old kid who's at his first show with his dad. There's this guy in a wheelchair. They're like handing me pieces to sign after this podcast. So completely backfired, right? CJ goes, hey, Marky wants to see you. Marky goes, hey, want to go up to the green room? He introduced me to fucking Joan Jett.
Yeah.
And then I started talking to Dougie Needles, her guitarist at the time.
Yeah.
Dougie comes over to get fucking drunk with us the rest of the night at our house until the next morning where they have to play this barbecue, the Cleveland Barbecue Fest. So he goes, hey, come on. We get to go watch Joan Jett side stage.
Fuck it.
Right there. And that was just like fucking crazy. I got to meet her, like Tommy Price, who was formerly Billy Idol, was there. And he's like, hey, man, how you doing? And gave me his number. And because I was like, yeah, cool. What's going on? And I met Joan Jett, and I was like, oh my God, I'm just floored with how great a shape this woman is. I mean, her song was parodied on the first Weird Al album.
Right.
Like, wow. And she was just like,
Joan Jett
how you doing?
now still looks fucking great too.
She's in her 60s, man.
Yeah. So, anyways, that's my Marky Ramone story. But now there's one extra fucking extra epitaph.
Right.
At the end, he goes, hey, and this blew my mind because this only a couple years ago that I realized it came to fruition without me. Marky's doing a side project. Michael Graves. You want to be involved? Well, I'm doing this right now. It was right before we completely broke up. So I kind of turned it down. And then years later, I heard We Are Angels, and I fucking fell in love with that goddamn song. I was like, oh my God, I wonder if this is the fucking thing they were talking about that I could have been playing fucking bass on.
Right.
But it's good I did. Again,
Right.
Yeah.
It's an experience you'll never forget for sure.
It's not just all of them. It was me. It collapsed worse than the Sex Pistols. So at least they got PIL out of it. So
yeah, that's true.
Go back to my tail between my legs. I'm drawing pictures. I'm not going to be on stage. Because here's part of it. Because I didn't want to be found. I didn't want to get into a fight with the band, an altercation. I had a stalker at the time who used to be a friend of ours who worshipped serial killers and had fucking like Hitler and shit on his walls, pictures of the penguin and fucking stuffed animals. So it's kind of like withdrawn from society and kind of. Yeah. And he was a great guy at first, but he got this clingy, and I feel bad for him. I wish him the best. Don't talk to me. Later, he would contact like my siblings online. The internet used to scare me at first when I brought Frozen Dead back, because I would get emails and random things, and he'd be telling me stories that never even happened. I'm like, what? So coming back to music again, that was a big step for me because I have PTSD and I have anger issues, and I'm not just Army, but from abuse growing up and then relationship problems and my friends and the band. So I was very guarded at this point. And the comic was a way for me to put myself out there again without having to be out there.
Yeah.
Right.
But now I'm ready because look at me. This is entertainer mode. I'm like, fuck yeah, give me that camera. Get the guitar. Yeah. Now I can do it without pissing on stage and being fucking all stupid. Let's play. Let's make some real fucking music finally.
Yeah.
I feel that.
Yeah, absolutely. Who would you say are some of your influences, both doing comic and music, like on both sides of that?
From both sides. Again, comic wise, again, I grew up with Garbage Pail Kids.
Yeah.
I grew up with Cracked Magazine, like Mad Magazine, Saturday Night Live, man. I'm 48. I grew up with the original Not Ready for Primetime Players. You know, even for the comic shit like Ghostbusters, Gremlins, the horror comedies were always my fucking favorites.
Yes.
Anybody can laugh at Freddy Krueger's one-liners, but look at Killer Clowns from Outer Space. That was supposed to make you fucking laugh. That was incredible. The Dickie
I like the comedy horror zombie stuff, like with zombie strippers and
Return of the Living Dead too.
anything, honestly, comedy, horror, I will probably receive it amazing.
Yeah. And they're starting to come back and they're starting to be better again. Because there was a law where it was just like, okay, it's not really funny, it's trying to be, but it's not. But like shit like Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse was a funny fucking movie.
Oh,
great fucking movie.
I love that fucking movie. Love that
And
movie.
I don't care what critics say. The Dead Don't Die was funny because it was supposed to be tongue in
That
cheek.
movie was great
Dead
too.
Don't Die.
Yeah.
Fido is another fucking hilarious one.
Fido is a great one.
Like that thing was that might as well have been an art house movie with like some great one-liners.
Like
It was
I'm a
setup, but it
huge
was fucking brilliant.
I'm a huge Bill Murray fan. Like I even have Pops just because it's a Bill Murray character
Yeah, we
because
do too.
I love Bill Murray. Yeah.
Nice.
Ah.
So the other side of your question, it still goes on that side of the question too, because the music wise, a lot of my influence came because horror movies had the best fucking soundtracks. Whether it's Doc and Dream Warriors from Nightmare on Elm Street 3, the whole Nightmare on Elm Street 4 soundtrack, or Return of the Living Dead, which had the Cramp. My introduction to punk.
Amazing
45 Grade, man.
I
Was that
miss amazing
Dramarama
soundtracks.
on Nightmare on Elm Street 4, right?
Yeah.
That fucking scene with fucking anything is a wonderful scene.
I play that song because I love that fucking movie. I
Oh,
know
that whole
it's not
fucking
covers,
album,
but
by
I
the way,
call
the
myself
entire album it came from was great.
Yeah. Dramarama was a fucking awesome fucking band. But look at, they had Billy Idol. They had the Divinos. They weren't even on the cut. They had the Fat Boys.
Yeah.
You know? I love the Fat Boys. Dude. That shit was awesome.
Yes.
They had Freddie in the video. Fresh Prince just had a voice machine. They had fucking Robert England.
What gets me, right? Yeah, the Fresh Prince with Nightmare on My Street, but the thing is, everybody knew him from Parents Just Don't Understand. That's not where I knew him from. I knew him from Nightmare on My Street.
And I had that album. There were both singles were from that album. Or Human Beatbox. That was like towards the end. But, hell, I still listen to Fat Boys, though. I still listen to them. I like the Disorderlies movie. You know,
I fucking love that.
They were so lovable. They were what hip hop and rap was supposed to be about. I love Run DMC. I love Boy shit, Dougie Fresh.
Yep.
That's when
I'm
it was
still
just,
an
everything was
Adidas fan because of Run DMC. I have been an Adidas fan since like
I bought Adidas last year because of in my car on rotation, my Adidas came out and I said, I always wear Chuck Taylors or boots. I want some fucking Adidas. So I wear leather jackets and camouflage pants. And I don't give a fuck. I'm still ghetto as fuck.
I have leopard print, fucking snake print. Like I have Adidas galore. Like that's my thing. I love it.
I even bought a hat. I was like, I'm gonna buy an Adidas hat. It was a social standard when we were kids, though. We couldn't have that. I had Kmart fucking Converse. They weren't Converse. They were foldovers.
Yes, no, I remember those.
They hurt to walk in.
Yeah.
My original shoes were all the Kmart ones. Don't get me wrong. You know, when I have my own money is a different story.
Remember kangaroos with the little pouch? They're like poor people Adidas. Like, my dad got paid this week. No food stamps for me.
Those were the weed buying shoes.
You could just, you know, buy one, get one free on something. So your mama would buy a pair of shoes and get you one for free.
Pay less shoes.
No Kaboom cereal tonight.
Pay less shoes.
We came from a great time period where even your breakfast cereal would give you fucking weird colored shit because of all the fucking now we're in a society of like 20 fucking Cheerio flavors and they all taste like the box.
Yes.
Hey, those apple cinnamon ones are good.
Okay, they were always good, but you know,
herbs were terrible.
Don't take away from my Cheerio joke.
I had.
You ever notice in the 80s there was like 800 awesome cereals, but they were all fucking Captain Crunch?
Yep.
Mr. T cereal, Captain Crunch.
I remember when I was a kid, it was like Malto Meal is a ghetto brand, but really more people buy Malto meals. So wouldn't that make it the name brand and we all know it now?
Yes, so it still comes
going down the list of fucking 80s cereals.
Oh no, I'm originally from Michigan too. So
I have
like
Battle
Creek.
I made a whole
I was actually going to get to that.
So I know all about those.
Farmer Jack's and Kroger's. We got to get some burners and better made chips.
Yes, yes.
We need some Fago. There's no rock and rye here.
Fago.
There's no rock and rye here. They got cola, orange, grape, and cotton candy. Where's the fucking rock and rye?
They used to have rock and rye back in the day.
It's everywhere but here, apparently. It's still in Detroit.
I remember growing
You
up.
can only, where I live,
$5
you can
for
only get Fago at specialty stores and special Asian stores because they're like, oh, I'll order that.
Why did ICP have to steal Fago from me too? They stole my neighborhood. They stole my pop. That's okay. I mean, God bless them. They have a big following. They did something right. I like their first movie. I'll say that. I like the fucking Harlan Williams is in it. I love the Misfits scene at the fucking cafe.
Yeah.
I was
So anyway,
actually
back to
thinking
the
about
music
it the other day, though, but it was my first introduction to, I guess you would call it kind of horror rock because of the kind of shit they said. Not rock rap, sorry.
Right.
But
Well, yeah.
because of what they sang about and stuff.
The idea of horror
And I
themed.
didn't even think about that until, like, seriously, 2 days ago. It's so silly. I thought about it 2 fucking days ago. I was like, wait a minute, I've been listening to this.
What ICP did was considered horrorcore, and
Yeah.
it was like horror rap, basically, is what it is.
Eminem
Yeah.
wore the hockey mask. He had the Amityville horror song.
I mean, they're all talking about the dead and doing the shit, but it's clown style. It was clowns.
Even
before
a dead
clowns
cat in
were
the mailbox.
popular.
That's the only one I know.
But like along with them, you got bands like Twisted and shit like that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I think they had their label. They got all those people, didn't they?
Yeah, they're all in the same label and everything.
And they were even in that movie I watched.
Yeah.
Sugar Baby.
So really, I mean, I guess I was introduced to it a long time ago. I just wasn't paying attention.
Yeah.
Well, that was with a band you mentioned earlier, the Deftones, right?
Yeah.
So the idea of, I guess, what you would call horror punk or whatever you want to call it, I don't know. At one
Or
point in time,
or punk or something, you know.
in that category. To me, they were just fucking punk rock because they were opening and/or headlining shows for other bands I was going to see anyways.
Yeah.
So the idea that horror punk was a specific fucking genre was new to me. Oddly enough,
that part is very new to me because
back and look at that shit.
my series, like when I kind of really think about it, it was Ice Nine Kills. To be quite honest with you, because I live over where I live, so you don't get a lot of that. And then all of a sudden, I heard something and I was like, "Holy shit!"
Thing with Lady Gaga in the video.
Yeah, it's not even like I said. It's like I heard it and I was like, "Wait a minute, that's talking about horror movies." And all of a sudden, I was in love with the thought process that that's in music now.
Right.
Yep.
I am
Before we get off the subject of Del Rey and Detroit and all that, I want to give a little shout out because recently through Horror Adorables line, I made friends with the first person throughout the internet that I met that was a goth woman from Del Rey, and she's actually making an unofficial sequel to Halloween 3. Her name's Michelle Lynn Blasky. She's incredible. So you guys should reach out to her at some point because she's been working her ass off to get that film out. But we became like instant friends. She's like this little upcoming filmmaker, and we just started battering back and forth about horror rock and Detroit and goth. And it's amazing. That's the one thing I will say about the internet. You'll meet people that you never would have met in the old days because you're all just in your room because you didn't want to go out and get shot.
Pretty sure that's why this is happening now.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So music influences you asked for. Obviously, we're going to state the obvious and get it out of the way, and that's all I'm going to go because I'm not going to be another fucking Misfits clone. Yes, I love the Misfits, Sam Hain, Danzig. My favorite Danzig song is Less Than Zero. My other favorite is 13, and the song he wrote for Roy Orbison on the Less Than Zero soundtrack.
I saw Danzig once live, and he was so anal about, and I wasn't even actually there to see him. I was there to see Demi Borgir.
I like them too.
Yeah, right. So I was there to
Skeptical.
see them, but he was like, "You can't bring your phone. You can bring your phones in, but if you take any pictures, you're getting taken away." Like it was.
I'll get down, come out and fight you.
There was somebody there big that was waiting to hit him in the face for it, so it's fine.
Right.
Anyway,
yeah. The other biggest influence,
like I said, I was there to see somebody way harder than he was for me. You know, I was like, "Fuck that."
I can never unsee that punch to the face in the back of the fucking.
Dude, that video lives in my fucking brain. It's here all the time.
You know what I mean? It's like I was like, this is
here. You know what's fucked up about it?
What the fuck?
Well, the thing is, as I've gotten older, that video in particular, I swear to God, I look back at it now. I'm a little older. the guy who ended up punching Danzig clearly was baiting it. He wanted.
Oh
You
yeah.
know the story behind it?
See, that's the thing.
Their band was cut from the venue. Time.
Oh, really?
They went over time, and they were supposed to have a show at that venue. And
Oh wait, so they ended up in the last slot, is what happened.
Yeah. So it's like it was already heated. Then it was just like, fuck this shit.
But that isn't what they were fighting over. Backlining the fucking instruments, though. There, at least that's what I thought I was hearing. If it was actually because they lost a fucking closing slot, which I could see. I mean, the fact is, there's enough people. We've all played shows at different times or been to shows at different times where you end up in a position you did not want to be in, as far as the actual order that you play in.
Yeah.
The thing is, if that video, if it was legitimately because Danzig, I guess that version of the Misfits or whatever, ended up playing over what they were supposed to play and it fucked a local band out of their slot, I can understand being angry.
Yeah.
I was led to believe in what I gathered out of the conversation that you can make out, and it isn't much. It was over backlining the instruments. And like when you watch, or when I watched what was later the extended video, it seemed to me the dude that ended up decking was literally kind of antagonizing a fight.
Right.
Trying to make it a bigger deal than it really was.
I'm sure he knew what he was doing the whole time. He was.
Well, it's interesting that the fucking recording angle catches that fucking punch like it was zoomed in.
Yeah.
Like to me,
Well, being that it was already
that
internet
guy
time,
was like, "Hey,
his
the
friend was
biggest
probably
member
like,
of our fucking
"Hey,
band, go punch Danzig." I'm not saying he didn't deserve it. To my knowledge, from what I've been led to believe, Glenn Danzig is an asshole.
He was nice to me when I met him, but he was also really tired and really worn out and had no voice left. So I just shook his hand and he gave me an autograph and I moved on.
Well, shit, maybe he's not an asshole. I wonder how much of that opinion actually comes from that fucking video.
I think some of it too, like people assume he is, and so maybe he gets tired.
I mean,
of it,
there's a lot of backstories with the Misfits too, with it that
Right.
involved him. You know, like beating up on people and like he had that reputation of being a tough guy asshole. You know what I mean? Like if
That
you
was
watch
the
all those old
small man
videos, that's
angry
what he
guy
was. Like
is what I always got. Like, because he's not like standing on stage, everybody appears bigger than they are.
yeah,
That's because you're looking up at them. It has nothing to do with physically them. I mean, but Glenn Danzig, he's like, what, 5'6"?
Yeah,
But at the
wow.
same time, he's
Something
also
like that.
fucking, like, at one point in time, that dude was fucking stacked.
yeah.
Yeah, he used to be like,
Well,
yeah.
just to move their fucking instruments, Doyle's bass weighed like fucking 50 pounds. I mean, so I don't know. I don't know if it's one of those things that has become reality because of the legend or because he was legitimately an asshole. I don't know. And that video, like I said, when I say it lives in my brain. I mean, I
Okay,
can
in my experiences, my family is band. Like, okay, I refuse to date any dude in a band. That's my girl opinion because I'm not going to hang out with any dude that loves his instrument more than me. That's just the female opinion. No offense, anybody.
Hey, at least my wife knows
Seriously.
she's my boss.
Sometimes you just want to be cut.
I've been surrounded by it my whole life. I watched my brother, my uncle, like I've watched this thing that happens. But lead singers, and I've been around this all my whole lead singers are very full of themselves, and that's just natural.
Yeah, but argumentatively, you have to be because you're also getting on stage.
Yeah, you're up there.
Yes,
You
you
don't
have,
believe
like,
what
yeah,
you
and
are,
I get
no one
that.
else is
I
gonna
just
fucking do.
I have lots of friends. All my friends are in this. Everything's like I love everybody in it. Do not get me wrong. I just won't date. That's I married very different from my species. You
Yeah.
better
I got
No, no, my wife is way
very
classy.
shy wife, but she's very trusting because I've already been out there online with the comic, and I got to talk to a lot of girls, and just like I talk to a lot of men because I got to self promote. But because I already went through my crazy phase, now she's like nothing but supportive because it's like I'm not going on tour. I'm doing some studio albums and playing some local shows. You and the cats and my job are more important. That's really I'm just doing this so I can share entertainment with the masses. I got something to save my life.
you gotta keep yourself
You-
busy
you have
and
an
with
outlet.
something you actually
Yeah.
enjoy doing. Like I enjoy talking to the guys once a week. Like this is therapeutic for me.
Right. It's pretty much why it started. It's why it started in the first
much.
place because it was pandemic. We were all inside, like so it was like we need to do something.
This is the
That's why
back of the
friends are
venue
doing it.
beer drinking between shows like situation. That's what this is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, it literally is like between
what
sets. This is
what do
the alley
musicians
behind the
talk
venue.
about whenever they're not on stage? Yeah, pretty much.
I do think
Like,
it's fucking cool that you kept ideas for, well, really, if you break it down, like 20 plus years, like you had your ideas and you kept running with them. That is fucking cool. The fact that it's like you hung on to them and you're actually getting a chance to fucking run with them. And that's
I appreciate that.
and now you have the
remember
horror
lyrics
adorable.
that I wrote fucking 15 years ago that never got put down, or riffs that I wrote or stole back because I didn't get to use it with this band. And it's like, what can I do now that's different though? You know, not just the same style. So you asked about the influence because that'll lead into the next part where I tell you my style that I created. It's a very eclectic style. Okay. Nikki Sixx and Motley Crue. I love that shit because that's all you could hear around here. There was no punk and shit like that in this area other than me and a couple of kids. You know, Ministry and Skinny Puppy, big fucking influences growing up because I liked, you know, industrial. Social Distortion is my all-time favorite fucking band. Mike Ness is my fucking hero because he got in and out of the drugs at an early age and just persevered just for the music all this time. And he's still, as old as he is, he's wonderful. And now his son Julian's doing it. That's a legacy. You know, that's one of my biggest influences. Part of the Johnny Cash era, just the last part. I like the early songs, but his comeback trail with Glenn writing 13 for him and Rusty Cage, and when Rick Rubin said, "Hey, we need to do you," and of course, as cliche as it is, he took Hurt from Nine Inch Nails, he made it fucking his and relevant. You can see him in that video. His wife died. He's fucking almost in tears, and he's given up, not taking his diabetes medicine. That's the Johnny Cash that I like to channel. That you got to be able to feel.
Said it wasn't his song anymore.
Right.
Like we did an interview, how do you feel about it covered? It's not my song now.
Right. That was beautiful for him to say, you know. But other than that, the 80s new wave influenced me a lot. So I like all these different eras. You know, Eddie Cochran's wonderful. So I had to create a style that was unique. They've already done rockabilly. They've already done gothabilly. They've already done just street punk, horror punk, you know, horror rock, whatever you want to fucking call it, ever since Alice Cooper. Yeah. So I created a sound that I call chromabilly.
Okay.
It's like polished metal because this is this intricate blend, okay, of not one style or sound, as some of you have heard. It's whatever works for that sound and that song. It's basically singing like 50s and 60s crooner, playing guitar structure like punk rock, and distorting the fuck out of it like 80s metal. Wrap it together so you get this unique sound. Some of the songs that I have coming on this album are an acoustic, but they're plugged in with a death metal pedal. So it gives you a unique fucking sound.
Yeah.
You know?
Awesome.
And I want every album to sound like a soundtrack with different highs and lows. I want to make you laugh. I want to make you fucking cry. I want you to make you realize your life was fucking crazy. You know, I have a song on there that it's horror, but it's only horror because it's real life horror called The Longest Mile. And it's about self-realization. Like one of the lyrics in that, you know, I've been drinking, but only in my mind, you know, been down the rabbit hole so long, you know, through the looking glass so long, I'm starting to see double, shit like that. Like it's mental illness, which is one of the realest fucking horrors out there.
Yeah.
So
that's true.
In there. Yeah. But then you'll turn around and you'll hear a goofy song like Love from Beyond, where it's the ghost who raped a woman, which is a horrible thing. But it's a love song. It gets so lonely being dead.
Yeah.
Then turn around and they don't all have to have the traditional beginning, middle, and end music parts if it's a story, because it's almost like folk punk as well, because folk is the storytelling element. Yeah. And the song that we're doing, it's a harder, distorted song called The Legends of Yesterday, but it's all about all the black and white classic monsters, all the way up to Godzilla and Night of the Living Dead. All of them done in a little tongue twister of like, figure out who's who, you know? A sliming, oozing visitor, a rise from outer space. Its only reason being here to consume the human race. As the movie finally crawls out, you hear an eerie howl. There's something not quite human out there on the prowl. You know, that's the type of thing. Deep within the branches, the birds refuse to sing. Emerging from the jungle trees, here comes the Island King. You know, that's the shit I'm trying to do. Like, so many sound movies, little bites, or nostalgia to make you remember. Or if it's something as familiar as the 50s style guitar for Here Comes the Bride. Every band has done it, from Pearl Jam to fucking back in the day, it was Last Kiss. Everyone's done that. It's not an original riff, but how you play it makes it new. It makes it fresh. And to put that kind of passion and love into two dead killers possessing plastic fucking bodies and make a real love song. Because that is love to them. They're dysfunctional, but it's real to them.
Right.
Johnny, one moment. You're probably not going to catch this reference, but they're going to.
Yep, I got you. But we're going to take a few extra minutes here and just want to touch on horrordorables a little bit because you didn't get
Yes, please do.
So go ahead and talk about that. I know you're wearing the shirt. So.
What's that?
I know you have them on your shirt there.
Oh yeah. This, by the way, again, this is a very special one to me. This is the Gill Man, but if you look how detailed it is, it's the Stan Winston Gill Man from Monster Squad holding a Twinkie because he stole my Twinkie. That is one of my favorite movies of all fucking time too.
Monster Squad.
And that was going to be my band name at one point, Monster Squad. And then I was going to do a comic called Monster Squad, but then I just didn't. So yeah, horrordorables. That's really recent, and I have a very embarrassing reason behind it. And I'm proud to say this. This is my selling out. I've done Frozen Dead for 23 fucking years. Okay. I do it for free all year. I only make money when I sell merchandise or books. So why not do something that everybody likes? Everybody likes Freddy Krueger, Pennywise. Why not do parodies of the characters that everybody knows and loves and sell the shit out of them? My wife with Antastic Creations, you know, she was never really artistic until we got together. And now she's cranking this stuff out, putting out coffee mugs. We're selling it cheap too, like punk rock, do it yourself. Coffee mugs for $10, shirts for 20, whatever. But it made a really good partnership together. And then all of a sudden, celebrities started seeing it because I'm not afraid to fucking talk.
Right.
I've talked to the comic industry. So I added Beatrice from Elm Street 5 as a friend, and she accepted. So I said, fuck it. I put my Freddy I had drawn on her profile and said, thanks for the ad.
Right.
Bless her heart, she paid attention and read the signature. Oh my God, you drew that? So what I said next was, I guess I better draw Amanda.
Right.
Oh, it'd be so cool. And so I drew Amanda, and she's been all about it ever since, wearing t-shirts, plugging me. She changed her profile
fucking awesome.
to a coffee cup. You know, meeting Butch Patrick in Elmira, New York, of all places. You know, Elmira and Binghamton used to have bands like AC/DC and all that, but that was in the Industrial Revolution days, and everybody had big factory jobs. For him to come here was incredible. So we went there, and I gave him a picture. I drew of him, and I don't have it on my wall right now. I got a bunch of them over here. He was so friendly. And while I was there, I threw in the other thing. Hey, I want to do a Frozen Dead story in the future where they go to a convention and meet people. Would you be down for being involved? And he said, sure, you got my permission to draw me in that. Paul Taylor, who played Pinhead in Hellraiser Judgment years ago, agreed to do that. Well, I started doing horrordorables. I better draw his version of Pinhead. He was so excited. He said, oh, I love this so much. And for him to feel that is important because he got to do it once. And it was a good movie and a bunch of fucking shitty sequels. You know, he did a good job in that movie. That was a decent story. It was weird, but it was closest to the original Clive Barker shit.
Judgment, honestly, they should have picked up from Judgment and run.
Yeah. That weird one in Mexico, I was like confused.
Yeah. I just recently started watching the Hellraiser series because of my horror marathon that I do yearly. So like every, gotta start finding stuff. And so I finally was like, okay, I'll really dip into this one. And I watched every Hellraiser, every fucking Puppet Master. I have watched everything you could possibly imagine, but not because the guys still give me shit that I haven't seen.
Now, in my opinion, the best thing to come out of the Hellraiser franchise was Lemmy Kilmister covering the song he wrote for Ozzy because the filmmakers wanted him to put it in the movie. At the end of the credits, his Hellraiser, and it was incredible.
What was the last Doug Bradley Hellraiser that was actually a good Hellraiser? In my opinion, was Deader. oddly enough, right? Being only because, and he's not in there a lot. He's only in there for a minute. He had more time than he did in fucking Hell World and a bunch of the other shit, right? He was good in it, and the storyline was good too. It was actually a throwback to horror. They did well with it. After that, everything just went straight to shit. It really did. Up until Judgment.
Right. That was a seriously creepy film.
Right? I mean, like the effects were great. The story was great. The idea of carrying it further was fucking wonderful.
The new costume was neat.
It was incredible. They did a great fucking job with it, right?
Yeah.
So,
and it's gotta take something to fill that role. You know what I mean? Like,
it does, especially because the previous version was because they were trying to hang on to the fucking rights. So they got that dude and they dropped him in there with the worst fucking makeup. Let's be fair. That version of fucking Pinhead is terrible. The version in fucking Judgment was great.
Right.
He wasn't in there a whole lot. He was in there for 15 minutes of a total of an hour and 10 of runtime, right? But it was fucking good.
Yeah.
It was Pinhead. It was the Hell Priest running. Which, by the way, is Hell Priest. The Hulu, just to be fair, the Hulu reboot was fucking great.
I loved it. I was saying, I was blown away. I was so surprised. I loved it.
Well, I mean, all right. So somebody like when I was a kid, the second Hellraiser, right? With Leviathan, where they first introduced it, that was where you get a really good idea of what these things are.
Yeah.
The Chatterer to me was fucking terrifying.
Yeah. He's still my favorite, other than Pinhead. That look.
Well, I mean, Pinhead because it's Pinhead, but the Chatterer and fucking Butterball to me were terrifying, right? Their version of both of them, or in this case, Chatterer, I guess, really, because there was no Butterball, Chatterer was fucking great. Like, it was great. The whole idea of like turning their skin into their vestments.
Yeah.
That was amazing. Like, somebody really loved that franchise when they put that shit together.
They definitely did good with the plot as well in that Hulu one, with making it surreal and almost like a dream-esque quality of not knowing everything that was going on as it unfolded.
Oh, absolutely. For people who had no, if you were like fucking 15, 16 years old right now and you ran across that shit on Hulu and you had no prior knowledge of any of the Clive Barker Cenobite shit or any of the fucking movies that came out afterward, if you had no understanding, watching that movie would have been a fucking experience.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, how the hell do you quantify it?
I agree with that. I agree with that. If you hadn't already been a part, yeah.
Just I mean, fucking what's his name? The dude from how am I forgetting his name? The guy that had the fucking he chose the version that allowed him to get a new experience. That whole fucking scene was a mind blower for me.
Yeah.
And I know that, like, I read the fucking book.
Yeah.
Movies. That moment, I was like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, that was a fucking brilliant moment.
I just recently revisited Nightbreed with Clive Barker's.
Nightbreed, oh fuck, it's one of my favorite movies of all time.
That one, it's
and
another
the story
perfect prime Clive Barker.
Right.
Clive Barker, if you have Shudder, I think the director.
I don't, unfortunately. I have every other.
I have it for a week. Woo!
Well, if you have it longer, I believe because Clive Barker directed Hellraiser, the first Hellraiser. Right. That was his foray into directing, right? He also did Nightbreed.
Right.
The director's version of Nightbreed is very much based off of his story Cabal, right?
Okay.
So the director's cut of Nightbreed is close to the story that it was based on. It's not that different from the version that we probably all originally saw. Which leads back to my original point. Clive, like the Nightbreed series is one of my favorite fucking movies, period. Just like the book and the movie itself. If for no other reason, like it was the first time I was ever like monsters are not necessarily the bad guys.
Right. It's plus at the time, in my opinion, it really did. It's
Cronenberg is no storytelling. Cronenberg.
I'm staring at Wreck-It Ralph right now, and I'm just thinking of the line: "Just because you're a bad guy doesn't mean you're a bad guy." Yeah.
But
no, see, I got my little. Okay, I'm a miniature freak. Okay, no, sir, I love little teeny tiny miniatures of all sorts. So I'm literally staring at Wreck-It Ralph as we're speaking.
David Cronenberg is the fucking doctor, whatever his fucking name is. He's like, when I think of movie villains,
Yes.
Right at the in the top 3 easily. Like,
Yes.
he's a bad fucking dude in that movie.
Yes,
He
absolutely.
did it because he liked
Absolutely.
Clive Barker's fucking writing. Another moment where we've gone off track.
You know how we do here, Jason.
It's
But-
just a bunch of friends talking about this stuff. That's how I feel about it.
I still got the bug. It's okay. We can talk about all this shit all night because that's what I like too, or I wouldn't write this shit.
Yeah.
It's my fucking bread and butter. But the horrordorables again.
Yeah.
Yes, it was done as a joke to sell out, but I shit you not. And maybe just because it was Christmas. This is by far, if you want to talk about the time I've done it to the time of how much people have been gravitating to it, between mid-September and Christmas, we sold over $1,000 of our fucking $10 shit and $20 shit.
Nice.
Wow.
That was,
Yeah,
it
dude.
blew my mind. So thank everybody out there that loves it or just likes looking at it, because again, I draw what I want to see. And you'll learn as you follow if you friend request horrordorables and follow it. I jump around on purpose. I don't do too many of one character. Like I just did the main Sanderson sister. You're not going to see the sister.
No, yeah, no, totally. I saw Winnie today, and I was like, "Oh, I like that. I really like that." Yeah.
I'm very impressed with that I'm keeping their distinct features, you know, but making them unique. The Wednesday Addams from the new movie that I drew blew my mind.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
I keep surprising myself.
I like it from the cutesy. Like I would actually get that tattooed on my body.
Nice. I hope you do. So
at some point, okay, I'm one of those people. I've become responsible, and I'm like, tattoos.
I need more to work paying your bills.
I'm the least tattooed person in the group. I promise.
You are absolutely.
I am. I am the least tattooed person in the group.
Oh,
but because of what you do, like I would actually get stuff like that tattooed on me. It's funny.
As a cook, I'm gonna need one of those cutting boards.
Yeah. Nice.
Put it on everything.
Yes. Oh, see, yes, Mr. Ash. Me and Bruce Campbell go, but I'm also a Michigan girl, so you know, kind of like.
Again, that's why I think Evil Dead. Oh, I cannot.
If I still lived out there, they do showings at the drive-ins out there all the fucking time of this stuff, and he comes and talks about it, everything. And because I live in Washington, I have a whole different geekdom over here. I don't get to do what I want to do.
He's the one guy I still haven't got to meet, but I would love to, you know.
Oh man, Bruce Campbell, he would be a dream. That'd be a dream. That'd be sweet. Also for me, Robert Englund would be absolutely.
I'm hoping to go to an East Coast con where Beatrice and Robert and a bunch of the other alumni are going to be there.
Yeah.
The thing is in Boston. If we can afford it, we're going to go. I can't get a table because here's where I get a little salty, okay? And this is for all of you promoters out there in convention land. I am a guest, not a vendor. I draw and write comics and do music. I just happen to sell my art. Right. They all want to fucking charge me vendor table shit. I don't sell enough shit for that. Why can't I just sit there and sign people's shit and say hi? You know what I mean? Treat me like a fucking 23-year veteran of the fucking industry, please. I did a service crossover.
I brought my shit.
You know, I did a wolf boy. So yeah, that's my little rant right there. Because it's too expensive for us to do these cons. And so I'm missing out on all that exposure. So it's nice that people like Beatrice are starting to buy this stuff. Are you guys know Voorhees Night of the Beast, the fan film?
No.
Once again,
Jason versus Bigfoot. And it takes place between Jason Takes Manhattan and Goes to Hell. They just made a sequel called After the Beast. Find these on YouTube. You can watch them all.
Well, I'm writing it down.
Because these people, I approached the man who played Jason, and he was so nice. He was like, I want to sell your stuff at these cons. So I drew a new Jason. I drew zombie Jason coming out of the lake with the broken mask and everything. Yeah. And then all of a sudden the director and writer were talking to me, the actors were talking to me, the special effects artists were talking to me. So I'm like, this is incredible. This is the response I've been looking for, where my whole goal is here. You need merchandise for your table. Buy it from me cheap. You buy a $10 mug, sell it for $20. You played such and such a character, they'll pay it. I'm not
Yep.
screwing you. I'm not having to work as hard. You
Right.
know? And I'm just the middleman. So
Exactly.
I've
Oh,
had
yeah, dude.
mostly good experiences so far.
Well, congratulations on that, man, because they're the horrordorables, they live up to their name. They're fucking adorable.
And they are fucking.
You know how hard it was to do a tremor?
They are.
Oh, I can believe it, man.
They need to get fucking hockey jerseys. 100%.
Yes.
The horrordorables need to go on hockey jerseys.
Yeah.
But if
Yes.
you can afford, that's the
Yes.
problem, the overhead.
Yeah.
Well, it's
Only
always
do
overhead.
stuff
but
on
you look at-
demand.
Well, if you so there's a Guar hockey jersey that literally is the Scumdogs fucking logo dropped on a white hockey jersey with numbers on the back. That motherfucker is $85.
Well, we could make that, but we're pretty much right now we make things on demand and that's it because we can't risk making X amount of this or that because if they don't sell, we
Yeah,
just
no, I'm
wasted
not
that
talking about
product.
right now. I'm saying there needs to be a point. One
Yeah.
day, like the fact of the matter is, if you're looking at the Monster Squad version of the fucking creature from the Black Lagoon, that motherfucker needs to go on a hockey jersey. He needs to go
I agree with you
underneath the creature, and on the back there needs to be some fucking numbers.
Well, and here's
Like,
the beauty
literally,
too.
that is something.
Being
that-
parody,
sorry,
I don't ever
that's-
say their names, but the Horrordorables logo fits right there perfectly.
Oh, hell yeah. Hell
Horror-
yeah.
no,
That was really-
wait, yeah, there you go. Horrordorables. Like, actually, if that was your first hockey logo, it would have to be Horrordorables 01. And then there would have to be another one where you did fucking
Yeah.
Chucky.
You know, you got to do 13.
Horrordorables 02.
Yeah, there you go.
Jason went with a 13.
Yes, sir.
But you're right, though. The possibilities for these are endless. And I'm not a money grubber, but I really hope they take off more because I like seeing people get into this shit. You know, I
Yeah.
want to see them wearing this in videos. I want to see you guys wear this or have a coffee mug or this person or that without the other extreme where people are like, oh, hey, give this to me for free and I'll show it off, which has happened, but I won't name drop because I do respect them as an actor and I do understand that they're a decent name, but they got to understand how much money that fucking costs us.
Right.
For you to get a picture and me not get tagged in it, it's almost like nothing, you know?
Yeah, oh God, yeah.
Exactly.
But on the other
Johnny-
side, we can make Johnny Necro shit too.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. You got to make merch for that too, because you got the comic.
He's my comic character too.
You got yeah, that's fair. That's fair. You got the President
Oh.
comic.
I told you my guys got stuck in the Necroverse, so we got to see alternate versions of everybody.
Yeah.
Fired Alfonso Cardiac.
That's awesome. But Johnny, we thank you so much for coming on here, man.
Yeah, dude.
Appreciate your time.
You got one hell of a story there, dude.
Not over yet.
Conversation.
Oh, I know it ain't over yet.
Turn the page now.
We'll definitely have to bring you back.
We'll have to bring him for some trivia or something.
Oh yeah.
Trivia. Actually, we need to bring you on with the Deftones.
Yeah.
You would probably really enjoy a conversation with those guys.
I have a trivia question for you.
Okay.
Like,
Trivia at
I
this
got-
particular point, like
good
we
one.
occasionally run trivia questions. That would be a good way to go.
Yes.
Okay.
One more.
What is the big connection between the Dead Zone and the Legend of Sleepy Hollow that isn't Christopher Walken acting in them?
One more time.
In the Dead Zone and Legend of Sleepy Hollow, Tim Burton, other than Christopher Walken being in both, what is the connection? What is the connection? And I'm a big Stephen King fan, so I have every book. So
I'm lost.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm running
lost.
through, like falling through the fucking ice. Like there's so much shit I'm running through right here.
Yeah, yeah.
I give up.
the last assignment the teacher, John Smith, gave his class before he got hit by a car and put into a coma was to read The Legend of Sleepy Hollow.
Oh, shit. I knew that.
Hot damn. There you go.
I used that on my last interview when I was on the radio in Cleveland. Doing a giveaway. I did that and a Planet of the Apes one that nobody got either.
Right.
Here you go. Who likes Planet of the Apes, the original series?
It's been a while since I've watched, to be fair. So,
What is
It
the
has been
major
very long.
purpose
I've been watching Chips lately.
of the short-lived TV show Planet of the Apes? What makes it so significant and important to the rest of the franchise?
This one I don't know.
yeah, I have no clue.
It completes the paradox.
It completes the paradox. Okay.
Because they're already having the ape civilization. The humans are not fully slaves. They're not fully before all the time travel shit happens. It's right.
Oh, they haven't lost language yet.
It finishes the loop.
Okay.
Okay.
Fair enough.
I haven't seen the series, so that's gonna.
Well,
be
so I get that they haven't lost language yet. That's the big thing. Like the by the time you get to the original Planet of the Apes, the humans don't have language. That's
they're animals at that point.
Amazing as he can talk.
They're still trying to have two governments, so to speak, but they're still slaves. You know. Well, yeah, it completes the paradox.
No, that's clever. That's true. I've never thought about it, but that definitely is true. It makes the whole thing make more sense. That's for damn sure.
Absolutely.
I'm
All
a
right.
big apes fan. That's why I drew Caesar.
It is it's time.
Yes, we have gone way over time, but that's what we do. But it's
Is
okay.
what we do.
Johnny Necro, we can't thank you enough, my man. Like, honestly, this was so much fun.
It was.
And I love the
appreciate all of it.
stories.
Yeah, and we can't wait to have you back, my man.
Cheers to all of you and appreciate your respect and keep on listening.
And you,
Absolutely,
coming
man.
on, man.
I had
Sure.
my first sale on Bandcamp today.
Hell
It was my
yeah.
wife, but she bought them.
Hey,
You guys have
any
a
win
great
is a
night. I look forward to watching
win,
it.
man. Don't quantify it. That's a win.
that is a win.
See,
But-
DIY, do it yourself.
Yes.
Well, either way, point of the matter is, it's a win.
That's right.
Yes. But
just
go
happy
ahead
to do
and
it.
find Horrordorables on Facebook.
Yep.
Send them a friend request, and you can find them all there. Buy all the merch you want. Johnny Necro, the music's coming out. Find the Frozen Dead comic book. It's all on
Look up Random
Facebook.
Insanity Productions on Facebook.
Random Insanity Productions. There you go. But Johnny Necro, once again, thank you, my man. Jason, Craig, Terry, as always.
Good night.
I got.